place was dark and dusty, and half lost in tangles of old alleys near the quays, reeking of strange things brought in from the seas, and with queer curls of fog that west winds tossed, small lozenge panes obscured by smoke and frost, just shewed the books, in piles like twisted trees, rotting from floor to roof, congeries of crumbling elder lore at little cost. I entered, charmed, and from a cobwebbed heap took up the nearest tome and thumbed it through, trembling at curious words that seemed to keep some secret monstrous, if only I knew. Then, looking for some cellar old in craft, I could not find nothing but a voice that laughed. I held the book beneath my coat at pains to hide the thing from a sight in such a place, hurrying through the ancient harbor lanes. With often turning head and nervous pace, dull furtive windows in old tottering brick peered at me oddly as I hastened by. And thinking what they sheltered, I grew sick for a redeeming glimpse of clean blue sky. No one had seen me take the thing, but still a blank laugh echoed in my whirling head, and I could guess what nighted words of ill lurked in that volume I had coveted. The way grew strange, the walls alike and maddening, and far behind me unseen feet were padding. I do not know what windings in the waste of those strange sea lanes brought me home once more, but on my porch I trembled, white with haste, to get inside and bolt the heavy door. I had the book that told the hidden way across the void and through the space-hung screens that hold the undimensioned worlds at bay and keep lost aeons to their own dimensions. At last, the key was mine to those vague visions of sunset spires and twilight woods that brood, dim in the gulfs beyond this earth's precisions, lurking as memories of infinitude. The key was mine, but as I sat there mumbling, the attic window shook with a faint fumbling. The day had come again, when, as a child, I saw just once the hollow of old oaks, gray with the ground mist that enfolds and chokes the slinking shapes with madness had defiled. It was the same, an herbage rank and wild clings round an altar whose carved sign invokes the nameless one to whom 1,000 smokes rose, aeons gone, from unclean towers up-piled. I saw the body spread on that dank stone, and knew those things which feasted were not men. I knew this strange grey old world was not my own, but Yuggoth, past the starry voids, and then the body shrieked at me with a dead cry, and all too late I knew that it was. The daemon said that he would take me home, to the pale shadowy land I half recalled, as a high place of stair and terrace, walled with marble balustrades that sky winds comb, while miles below a maze of dome on dome and tower on tower beside a sea lies sprawled. Once more, he told me, I would stand enthralled on those old heights and hear the far-off foam. All this he promised, and through sunset's gate he swept me past the lapping lakes of flame and red gold thrones of gods without a name, who shriek in fear at some impending fate. Then a black gulf with sea sounds in the night. Here was your home, he mocked, when you had sight. We found the lamp inside those hollow cliffs, whose chiseled sign no priest in Thebes could read, and from whose caverns frightened hieroglyphs warned every living creature of earth's breed. No more was there just that one brazen bowl, with trades of curious oil within, fretted with some obscurely patterned scroll, and symbols hinting vaguely of strange sin. Little the fears of 40 centuries meant to us as we bore off our slender spoil, and when we scanned it in our darkened tent we struck a match to test the ancient oil. It blazed. Great God! But the vast shapes we saw in that mad flash have seared our lives with awe. The great hill hung, close over the old town, a precipice against the main street's end, green, tall and wooded, looking darkly down upon the steeple at the highway bend. 200 years the whisper had been heard about what happened on the man-shunned slope, tales of an oddly mangled deer or bird, or lost boys whose kin had ceased to hope, One day the mailman found no village there, nor were its folk or houses seen again. People came out from Aylesbury to stare, yet they all told the mailman it was plain that he was mad for saying he had spied the great hill's gluttonous eyes and jaws stretched wide. 10 miles from Arkham I struck the trail that rides the cliff edge over Boynton Beach, and hoped that just at sunset I could reach the crest that looks on Innsmouth in the vale. Far out at sea was a retreating sail, white as hard years of ancient winds could bleach, but evil with some portent beyond speech, so that I did not wave my hand or hail. Sails out of Innsmouth, echoing old renown of long dead times, but now, too swift, night is closing in, and I have reached the height whence I so often scan the distant town. The spires and roof are there, but look, the gloom sinks on dark lanes, as lightless as the tomb. It was the city I had known before, the ancient leprous town where mongrel throngs chant to strange gods, and beat on hallowed gongs, in creeps beneath foul alleys near the shore. The rotting fish-eyed houses leered at me, from where they leaned drunk and half-animate, as edging through the filth I passed the gate to the black courtyard where the man would be. The dark walls closed me in, and loud I cursed that ever I had come to such a den, when suddenly a score of windows burst into the wild light and swarmed with dancing men, mad, soundless revels of the dragging dead, and not a corpse had either hands or head. They took me, slumming, where gaunt walls of brick bulge outward with a vicious stored-up evil, and twisted faces, thronging foul and thick, wink messages to alien god and devil. A million fires were blazing in the streets, and from flat roofs a furtive view would fly, bedraggled birds, into the yawning sky. While hidden drums droned on with measured beats, I knew those fires were brewing monstrous things, and that those birds of space had been outside. I guessed to what dark planet's crypts they plied, and what they brought from Thog beneath their wings. The others laughed, till struck too mute to speak, by what they had glimpsed in one bird's evil beak.